been following the local hip-hop scene, you would have seen some work from this gentleman here. He's captured shots of some of Australia's greatest artists such as Tram, Brad Strutt, as well as international artists such as Snoop Dogg and Game. HAUIE TV, please welcome Tristan Stefan Edouard.
Yeah,
how you doing, brother?
You got it. Yeah.
Three-name pro, man. You bound to succeed with three names, right?
The fanciest name in Australia.
That's it. Now, I guess we've got to start at the beginning. The love for photography. Where did that come from?
It kind of just started just running around as a teenager. I had a bad memory, so I just used to sort of take photos just to remember certain moments. And as a teenager, you're running around doing all this cool shit, like, and you're exploring, you know, where you grow up because you're a little bit older and you can run around where you want, and you're doing all this stuff you're not supposed to. So I just started taking photos of that just to remember those good times.
Right, and I know you have a close association with graffiti.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of some mates used to write, so we just used to go explore like tunnels and all these places, and just, I thought it was the coolest stuff ever because you're growing up and it's all new to you, so that's why I started like carrying.
It's that danger element, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you just like, this is so cool, like this is all new, we shouldn't be doing this, and so no one was taking photos, so I'm like, I want to remember this stuff, so that's how I started taking photos.
So we've established the humbling beginnings of your love and passion for photography. When did you start looking at the world with a different eye, like with a photographer's eye?
I kind of just carried a camera around for years and years, a little one, and then after that happened for ages, I sort of said I want to buy a SLR. If I had an SLR, I'd take the photo this way. After saying that for so long, I just went out and bought one.
Bit the bullet.
Yeah, and I just never really put it down after that.
Right. And tell us about the story, about the photos at your uncle's house that you discovered, because it's a great story.
Yeah, I mean, I started taking photos and didn't think anything of it. I was just taking it for the hell of it, just because I liked it. It was never a career or anything. And I remember it clearly. It was like my uncle's 60th birthday came up to me, and I'd been taking photos for a few years, like with my SLR, and he said, I remember when you were like 2 years old, like before you could walk, you'd come to my house like every weekend, and you'd go like into my room and you just look at photos for hours and hours, like, and you do that every week. And it's sort of something just clicked in my head that night, and I never remembered that, but it's like I saw the light and I sort of said, oh shit, like I did do that for years and years, and
not knowing that it could become a profession.
Yeah, like I didn't even remember that, and I'm just like, oh shit, I was looking at photos for hours on end every week when I was 2. I'm like, this kind of all makes sense now, like this is like what I'm here to do.
So like the calling.
It was, I went home, I couldn't sleep, and I'm like, oh shit.
Oh really?
Like, yeah, I mean, it was like a switch kind of clicked in my head, and that was a big game changer for me.
I mentioned at the top you had the opportunity to catch stills of artists such as Tram and the Tongue, myself, which that's probably your peak of your career, is when you,
my peak took it to a next level.
Yeah, that's what I felt. After that, you're just like up there, you know.
It changed.
But also, you know, Snoop Dogg, Game. Which are the photos that you keep close to your heart? Which are your favorites?
The Snoop one was a big one, just because, I mean, Snoop's a household name. I grew up on Snoop, like I started listening to Snoop in like, he was one of the first hip hop dudes that I heard, Doggy Style, in like 95, 94, 95, when I was like 8, 9. He was the first concert I ever went to in like 98 at the M Mall when I was like 12 or 13.
How'd you get in there?
It was all ages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like 98.
Was that No Limit, Snoop?
Yeah, he just hit No Limit, but he still did all the Doggy Style.
Yeah,
and it was early, like 98. He came out smoking a big joint at the N Mall, I remember. Upstairs was bouncing. It was crazy. So when I shot him, it was kind of like, okay, he was the first big sort of hip hop household name dude that I'd shot, and it was just, I liked the photo. It ended up being a really good photo. So that was like a big, it changed my career. I mean, it got me seen by a lot of people, that photo. So that one is kind of one of my favorites.
Right. All right, and finally, you know, you've had the chance to capture the shots of a lot of great things and a lot of great people. But who are you yet to capture the still of, or something?
Something. I've had this conversation before with friends, and we came down to Rick Ross eating a cat burger. with a cat because no one's ever going to see that ever.
Right.
Like, when would you ever see Rick Ross eating a cat burger? And Rick Ross is one of the biggest rappers in the world, so like that would like blow me up. I would be like super famous from that shot.
Yeah.
But other than that,
that's copyrighted too, by the way. Don't be going to snap that up.
Number one is like Rihanna, just because she's hot, her stylists are crazy, her makeup's crazy, her looks are crazy, and she's the #1 female artist in the world.
Is that with or without Chris Brown?
Nah, he can't be there.
Slap him up. Tristan Stefan Edouard. Thank you very much for joining me on HAUIE TV.
Pleasure.
Beautiful, man. Bloody Fiji plane, man. Fiji plane, man. It's probably like running 5 hours late. Yeah, the stewardess will be now serving cover on the